I have been remiss here, Stugotz, the first hour of the show, not discussing the biggest story in sports over the weekend. And I'm not sure if the American women losing to me was as interesting a story as, oh my God, so that's the reaction to them losing? Those great champions, we're going to laugh at them at the end, and we're going to discuss whether Megan Rapinoe, like she called it dark comedy. To end your career that way is like such a stomach punch for her to laugh and for you to think she doesn't care. For you to make the argument because you don't like her politics that she's laughing because she doesn't care, where the reason that team is as good as it is because of how much she cares.
If any team deserves a pass, deserves to be knocked out in the round of 16 and receive very little criticism, if any, it is that team. With Megan Rapinoe, I don't mind that she laughed, and I don't care. I'm just telling you, in that moment, you can't smile, you can't laugh.
But this,
you can't do it.
Okay, but this is what I would say to you, because you are nothing if not predictable on this front. And those are the Cooligans there. We'll get to them in a second. They're part of the Le Batard and Friends Network, Metalark Media, Christian Polanco, and Alexis Guerrero. They have a good time covering all this stuff. But just to circle back for a second, because it is a bit insulting to simply say that they deserve no criticism. No, their coach was kind of terrible and didn't trust young players, and they looked old and injured. You could criticize, and you could also criticize that they lost and they gave us, America, the expectations of winning. They can be a symbol for winning and have lost in a really terrible fashion that looked like they didn't care very much. And I know that they cared, but because they've been dominant and suddenly were kind of bad, it looked like they didn't care. It looked like they were going through the motions, or it's really hard to be a symbol for America in that kind of fighting for women, to make the entire sport so strong that now women in other countries are just as good as you are because of how you put this sport on the map in this country.
They played their best game of the tournament against Sweden, and it certainly looked like they cared after they realized there were no more games to be played. I mean, they cared. They were emotional. They were crying. They cared. Except Rapinoe. I don't know what she was doing.
You didn't watch any of this. Thank you, Billy.
I watched all of it.
Christian, let's start with you.
Five in the morning.
What are your thoughts, not on the game, but on the reaction? Break down the reaction to me, because I've been not surprised that they've been weaponized, but the glee, the anti-American glee of like, I don't like the politics of these people, so I'm happy that they lost.
People have been waiting 12 years to have this exact moment. They wanted them to lose in 2015. They wanted them to lose in 2019. And all the moment of that went viral when Megan Rapinoe said, when they asked her, hey, do you want to, if you win the World Cup, would you go to the White House? And she said, I ain't going to the White House, right? That after that moment, she was a target, and people have been waiting so long. But it's difficult to criticize as much as you want when they keep winning. They've won the last 2 World Cups. They have earned plenty of respect. And you made an absolutely great point. They were so dominant and so successful that the other countries were simply like, yo, we got to step it up. And they have. And this is the World Cup where all the other teams are really, really good. And it was a bit of a smack in the face to the U.S. women's national team. The fact that, whoa, the level of competition is so high that this is the countries that they face. This was the competition that they faced. And now that I knew this was going to happen whether they won or not. Before the World Cup started, I was like, look, the tweets are coming. People are going to be attacking blue hair Rapinoe and blah blah blah. And it happened exactly as as we all kind of expected. But it's not surprising at all, but it doesn't take away from the inspiration that the U.S. women's national team has brought to American soccer, to the country, and to a lot of people.
You know what, Chris? Thank you. He's rambling. You asked the question.
Did they choke or not?
Did they choke or not?
No.
No. This is the coach's fault, not their fault. And I could care less about the reaction. What do I care about? 99.9% of the people reacting to this have never seen a game of soccer, couldn't tell you any other player besides maybe Megan Rapinoe or Alex Morgan. They have no clue what the rules were. They have no clue that it was the coach's fault putting these people in the in bad positions. It's a chef who got great ingredients and was way out of his depth and didn't know how to cook it. That's exactly what you saw. These are people that are simply what? They're jerking off to Fox News, and you can't do that in a small town.
Whoa,
Who cares?
Wow.
Who cares?
Whoa. Ejaculates were not necessary here. You did not need to shame Midwestern ejaculators. What is the matter with you?
Bro,
are you
Jesus is
doing?
watching, and so am I.
What are you doing?
There's plenty of Pornhub categories. I don't know. Like, let them have their fun.
But
Who
why are
cares? Go back to NASCAR. Stop worrying about my sport.
why are we blaming the coach? The coach didn't miss a PK. I mean,
No, you have to start there. If you watch the games and if you really focus on the sport, the coach just made poor decisions from the lineups, from
Hold
the
on,
formations.
Pat Riley didn't shoot a 3-pointer either. Does he not get any credit?
But you
You
kicked
know
it
what
to
I mean?
Mars. I mean, it wasn't even close.
right.
It's ridiculous. You got to pick the order. You got to pick the order of how these players go up. And why would you substitute 2 minutes before, knowing that 2 minutes into a game they're about to go to the most pressure-filled penalty kicks of their entire career? It's stupid.
And
Why would you bring two center backs and only play one of them and keep one on the bench the entire time?
And it's
Why would
silly-
you not play a dynamic midfielder? Yo, Ashley Sanchez going home with the cleanest cleats in the history of the sport, but she should have been out on the field. It's ridiculous from the beginning. He should have been fired before this game.
And we're not saying that the U.S. women's national team shouldn't be criticized, because we do that on our show all the time. It is simply that they shouldn't be criticized because they are activists. They shouldn't be criticized simply because they fought for equal pay. That's really all our comments right now are, oh, I'm glad they lost. Rapinoe's a cancer to this team. And it's like, bro, they wouldn't have won the last 2 World Cups without her. So it makes no sense to hear stuff like that.
It's such a perfect thing, though, for them to be, for 25 years, a symbol for blazing strength in sports, pioneering for little girls, a generation of little girls. For them to end up when they lose, it's an honor to have America divided and spitting at them as representatives for sports strength. And, man, let's be honest about this. The women have been so much better as activists all over sports than the men. So much
100%.
stronger. They started that. Like and to have an anti-American sentiment, laugh with glee at them losing, honestly, in sports that they mattered like that, it's an honor. You've divided America because you're that much of a leader and you were that dominant that you made people pay attention to a champion in women's soccer when this country did not care about that 25 years ago. Like, they're the biggest badasses ever. Of course they should get equal pay. They've been better than the men for 20 goddamn years.
That's facts. In fact, they inspired an entire generation of girls. It just so happened those girls played for Sweden, Spain, England, France. I mean, we got bodied by girls that our team inspired. It's crazy.
Alex Morgan's washed.
Dominique's got fair criticism here.
man.
Dominique, let's
Well,
go.
what are these ad libs that I'm hearing?
No, it's
bro?
not an ad lib. Dominique has strong criticism. He's not wrong either.
I mean, you can't hold on to the past. Like, Alex Morgan in the center doesn't make sense when you got Trinity Rodman and Sophie Smith and Alyssa Thompson.
Look,
and like,
I
what
agree
are we
there.
doing? Finish.
I agree. Washed is to me a little aggressive, but I will say this: I think the fact that in the first two matches, we saw how Alex Morgan played, and for the coach to not say like, I see what she's giving me, let me try something different. That's on the coach. If your star player is not, giving you the results that you need, you make a change. And this is why it's so odd to me that when the U.S. men's national team were playing in 2022 in the Men's World Cup, Berhalter, you guys did a show talking about how Berhalter made all these crazy decisions and why didn't Gio Reyna play, and then all the drama with the family. And then when the U.S. women's national team play, it's these women don't have the heart and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yo, what about the coach? He has some say too.
Also, Dominique, you were a cornerback. How good is a wide receiver if they're not getting good passes? Which of our forwards did really well? No one. We scored against Vietnam, and then we was trash after that because we were getting no service without Rose Lavelle or a dynamic midfielder. We were getting nothing.
All wide receivers are terrible when I'm covering them.
There you go. See, all right, there you go.
But a lot of people, let's break this down with some expertise, though, because there is a fine line between a coach trusting champions who have done it before because you ride with them until the end because you know how strong those women are. That Rapinoe doesn't deserve to go out like that. You know what she's carried for 20 years across America. Like she's an unbelievable badass, and she knew the internet was falling on her blue hair as soon as she missed that kick. Oh, look, this is how my career ends. My career as activist is I blew the World Cup, but you got to trust. You got to trust the women who brought you there. Even if you want change of young people, the women who have the experience of it, we are the only ones who have women who can play in those games, who have experience winning those games.
But they're saying they're only trusting her with the PK. They're not playing her the rest of the game. They don't trust her with the rest of the game just when it comes to a PK.
Well, look, I agree with that. Look, Megan Rapinoe and even her substitution into the game, it was I could see going in a different direction. Megan Rapinoe, yes, even when she's playing in NWSL, she's not playing these full 90 minutes. So we understand that, I could understand if a coach made the decision of like, look, this is where you are in your career and this is how we're going to use you. As far as the penalty kick, that's just how it is. They're the cruelest part of sports where you don't know what's going to happen. But Vlatko and Dominque, the head coach for the U.S. Women's National Team, had every opportunity to make substitutions in the group stage matches where only made one substitution in one game. Takes way too long to make substitutions. This is why Alex Morgan, I trust, one of our better players. Yes, she should start the game, but maybe at the 60th minute, we try something else if something isn't working. Not at the 85th minute, which is common from Vlatko. Just substitutions just weren't happening. So those are the really analytical, very specific things that are frustrating. But this is a coach that I don't think will be with the U.S. Women's National Team much longer.
Transitions are hard.
Fired.
Stay there, gentlemen. We will come back in just a second because I want to get more expertise about this. This is the story of the sports weekend. And Stugotz, I have been surprised, no matter what your politics are, an anti-American sentiment making an appearance because a sports team lost, a sports team that you didn't care about and were only watching just to see it lose. It felt deeply un-American. Can't be too surprised by it, but it felt wrong to have glee about that. We'll come back with more next.
Transitions are hard, guys. I mean, we can be critical of this team, and I think that it's somewhat disrespectful when we try to act like they don't deserve criticism. Like, we can criticize them. Criticizing them for celebrating seems weird to me. Criticizing for how often they smile seems weird to me. But criticizing for their performance, I think, feels right. But the transitions are hard part to me is we're obviously in a state of transition and flux, and it seemed like the best players, the most impactful players, the fastest, most explosive players were the young players, and it's time to transition to them. It's hard to have that transition, but that seemed like the problem. The people who were impacting the game were not Rapinoes. I guess Lindsey Aron was really impactful. She's not like a super young player, but all the best players seem like the younger players, and we're trying to hold on to.
Look at you breaking this down.
I mean,
I know.
Look at you.
I think it's what the uncomfortable truth is that the grasp that the American women's team have had on the dominance of the sport, you saw in real time. We lost grasp of that. We lost our dominance over the rest of the world in this sport. Other leagues have taken, a stronghold. The WSL in England, in particular, Barcelona's women's team is absolutely incredible, and the Barcelona Academy have developed incredible players. We're still playing like we're still developing players like it's 1995 out there. Going to these independent academies and just trying to develop superior athletes as opposed to footballers. And you're seeing in real time what's happening. The truth be told is we should be ushering away from that old guard and moving on to a younger, more dynamic group. I've mentioned Ashley Sanchez. Trinity Rodman has been mentioned on this show before, or on this segment. We've got to move towards the youth and let them start to develop themselves as a unit and as a team. What you saw out there was 11 individual players, which used to be good enough for the U.S. to win. That no longer is the case. You need to be a team.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I mean, we said this on our show. It goes back to the coaching. I mean, I think it's and not just the coaching in this particular for the U.S. Women's National Team. It goes to the how do we coach those youth players? Why were the young players so good, right? It says something to the individual talent and the individual coaching that they've received in maybe in academies, in college and stuff like that. But then when you watch the Spanish national team, they 100% look like Barcelona, Neymar, Messi, Luis Suarez. They play like Xavi. They play like Iniesta. That is the structure and model that they are passing down to anybody that comes through the Barcelona system. So that is the thing that needs to, it's difficult for us to kind of have that. And it goes into a bigger conversation about how coaching and academies and pay to play and being a kid playing soccer is incredibly expensive for families in this country. But yeah, that's a whole other conversation. But without a doubt, you need both. You need obviously veteran leadership and young players. But it goes back to what I said. Vlatko needed to make those decisions to have those younger players on the field, because there's a lot of young players that didn't see any time at the World Cup, and it's truly a shame.
I will tell you that listening to you guys is like listening to myself. And now I know why Dan gets very, very annoyed and frustrated with me. And I'm proud of you, especially one of you said the coach should have been fired before the game, not after the game, before the game, which is an outstanding take. I'm going to remind you guys, Rapinoe hits that PK, and she normally does. We're not having any of these conversations today. Not one of them.
That's
Coach,
not exactly true.
No,
Coach,
no. They have advanced. Coach put the right person in at the right time. KG veteran. She's been there before, been in that spot. That's why he put her on the team. That's the conversation we're having today.
Well, she should have. I mean, she should have made it, right? And that's why she was laughing after missing it, because she could not believe that she missed it, because she for years, I can't even remember the last time Megan Rapinoe missed a penalty. She's the designated penalty taker all the time, the last 12 years essentially, and she never misses. And it's such a crazy end of this story that the fact that she missed at all. But no, so look, other people missed, right? Sophie Smith, it sucks. A young player missed her opportunity. Kelly O'Hara, a veteran who should have done better there, also missed. And even if you look at after the game, the camera was on her, and Kelly O'Hara was like, F me, how did I miss? And she couldn't. It was just unfathomable that the U.S. was even in that position. But the game shouldn't have even gone to penalties, because we absolutely dominated that game.
So with the U.S. national team being eliminated, I was watching this to root for them. Who should I root for now? I need to have a team that I can cheer for.
Australia, no?
Yeah, pitch me on who my new
Wait,
favorite
this
team
thing
is.
still goes after U.S. loses?
To 50% of the country, no. Depends. What are you into? Give me an idea. Like, do you hate colonizers? Because if so, England's not the one for you.
I'm very anti-colonizer.
There you go. All right. So I would say then I would maybe like a Jamaica or Colombia. They're playing each other, so whoever wins that game, that's who you root for. Or Japan. Yeah. Japan is wavy as hell.
Yeah. There's a lot of fun teams to watch. This has been an interesting World Cup, but there's just like a lot of different character, and it's not just simply the U.S. dominating through. So for me, I always say, like, I'm one of my best friends that got me into the sport is Colombian. So I'm like Colombia, ride or die. When Colombia, the men missed the World Cup, I was like, all right, well, now I know the U.S. is not gonna probably win, so who am I going to support? But Colombia is my team.
Who are the players that we need to watch? Most exciting, because I know the women's team, our women's team, fairly well, and I got educated on it before the tournament and watched those games. So I feel like I don't know who to watch. Like, I see colors, I see jerseys, I see flags, but I'm watching the game and nobody seems all that like stand out impressive to me. Are there players that we need to be watching?
Yeah, I would have told you Lauren James, but she just went surfing on another player's body, so she's probably out for the tournament. It's ridiculous.
If I may, gentlemen, if I may cut you off very quickly, Alexis, I need to, as a part of the Le Batard and Friends family here, I need to know if somewhere, I don't know what your partnership, what your history is exactly, but if you get very frustrated because Christian's talking too much, like he's just he's talking a great deal and he won't shut up, and there aren't any windows for you to get in there and do jazz hands, or do you have such good chemistry and a lifelong friendship allows you to tolerate that your partner is a bit of a gas bag?
I don't know, dog. You just interrupted me, so maybe it's not all Christian.
He tends to do that.
We support each other with our strengths and weaknesses, Dan. Okay?
Yeah, no, that's Cubano on Cubano violence, Dan.
How dare you?
I
okay?
just wanted to hear something from Alexis, and I feel like I haven't heard enough from him because it was a pretty important game that was played yesterday that echoes societally, and I was curious about his thoughts.
Hey, listen, I love Christian. Kid's a bit of a yipper, but I love him. You know, he's gonna yip. You know, what are you gonna do?
Really came in here and cleaned it up, Dan. Thanks.
I have a question.
It's going fine. I mean,
I have a
Threw a
question.
Molotov cocktail into the mix.
Is the
I'm
MLS
wearing. Look at the shirt I'm wearing. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, and if they would have sent me one that fit, I'd also be wearing it.
is the MLS cheating for Messi?
yep.
Oh, dude,
stop this! I hope
Bro,
so.
The other
How
team
about
scored
that?
a
That's
goal
the hot
for him
take.
yesterday.
dude. No,
I
that
don't care.
that
I
far
hope
go.
so.
I was gonna ask you that on today's show, bro. That was crazy.
Also,
That-
you know how hard I would love to get an assist from Messi? I don't care what team I'm playing for.
I don't care
I'll
what
try to
jersey
get
I'm
that.
wearing, bro.
Bro.
That was crazy. Yeah. Are they cheating for him? I don't know. But now I'm too self-conscious to make my point because Dan Le Batard called me out.
Yes.
Just use less
Well, I don't
words.
think
That's
there's that
all
much
he's
time
saying.
left in the segment.
I mean, in Dan's defense, the shit got a lot more fun when he came here and started flipping over tables.
Well,
Way
this
to
is
go, Dan.
I know that. Thank you, Dominique, for citing a certain expertise I have to know when a show is sinking into the quicksand because it happens so often around here. But you have to mix. You have to mix the game analysis that the nerds care about to cast a wider net with everything that's happening with this team, which it's really small to say, oh, this person should have been starting, that person should have been starting, this person should have been PKs, when they are, for a quarter of a century, a symbol of an American champion that, as great as it was on the field, has a resonance larger than that off of it, and many times larger, even though they were the epic empire of teaching women.
Shut up, Dan. Other people got to say stuff.
He's a writer.
I was waiting for it. I'm like,
Bro.
is someone going to do this to him?
Why don't we do the hard network out on Dan, bro? What's going on?
So you interrupt me to do that.
So, Messi, we're cheating for him or what? I mean, if we are, I'm down with it. Like, it's been fun. It's a lot more
We
fun
should
than when
be.
Beckham came over, when Ibra came over. They weren't putting up numbers like Messi is. So if we got to cheat to do it, I'm all for it.
I mean, first of all, they're doing it against Mexican teams, so it's not just MLS. He hasn't even played an MLS game yet. This is all Leagues Cup, which, up the Leagues Cup, this has gone vibey as hell. But I will say the league should be cheating for Messi. This is a single entity. There's no promotion or relegation. Who cares? We all came to see Messi. If you score against Inter Miami, you get a red card. You know what I mean? Let's go.
Well, I don't-
Make this the Messi League soccer, bro.
Well,
Let's
I
go.
don't agree. I don't agree with you cheating for Messi. I will say this. Yeah, look, he is such a great player that he's going to probably have more luck than others. But more than anything, he is banging in these free kicks that are so insanely difficult that it has nothing to do with luck at that point. He is just literally that outstanding of a player.
Remote controlling
So,
the ball.
What happened?
Yeah, he said remote controlling the ball.
Lucy just
what-
whispered
Oh,
in
really?
my
What?
Lucy
Never
just
even-
whispered in my ear, just for me, too many words.
Wow.
She wasn't mean enough to do it publicly. She just whispered it in the shadows and then ran off. Gentlemen, thank you. We appreciate the time.
Go listen to their wordy
The
podcast.
Cooligans,
Thank you.
with a very wordy Christian Polanco.
What are you thanking him for?
And Alexis Guerrero, the bearded nightmare. Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate the expertise.
Cheers, guys.
No problem.
Lucy, why are you hiding?
Hiding? What
Lucy
happened?
is hiding. I wasn't supposed to repeat that. I betrayed you.
That was Chris. So I just took a bullet for no reason. Collateral damage.
I am so not used to you guys talking in my ear that
Really?
Chris sounded like Lucy. I thought you
That's
would,
impossible,
I
man.
know, it is impossible. It does not seem fundamentally possible.
Dan throws Lucy under the bus. Lucy throws Chris under the bus. And
It was
Dan-
Billy.
It's always Billy.
It wasn't me this time.
It's
no.
always Billy. He did something
I'll
in
say
the
it to their
shadow.
face, though.
My bad, Dan. It was me.
Well, that was a fun only appearance for the Cooligans ever.
Miss those guys. What network do you think they're going to next? Dan Patrick looking for a soccer show, you think? ESPN's not hiring.